I've applied to, I don't know how many hundreds of jobs. I can show you the receipts. I can show you the email confirmations.
So if I give you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good, I think I could. I do have some options, but they seem to be somewhat destructive and exploitative of me, of my peers. So I'm trying to
I think you're too selective for jobs right now. You don't have the ability to be selective at this stage.
Well, but the thing is, I do, because I'm instilled with a freedom that is maybe God universe given, and I don't actually have to, because of the system, like you said, I don't have to play along with some corrupt game.
You know, they say you should dress for the job that you want, and this guy clearly wants to be a shepherd in 380.
I have put in 477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
How about I interview and I give you a job? Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, man, that's Florida. Sure, why not? I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it.
But you see what just happened
regardless,
right there? But watch what you just did.
Sure.
You just said you applied to 477 companies who's not gone back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you. You said you're willing to move. Then you said, I'll look at it. You became selective.
Jubilee should retitle this video, Poor People Who Are Committed to Being Poor. Hey everyone, this is Matt Wills with Defining Ethos. So today I've got Patrick Bet David on the capitalist side versus Mason from Jubilee on the anti-capitalist side, and I found it interesting, so let's give it a watch.
My first claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm value-tained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you
so,
really?
Yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism.
Okay.
Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of scarcity, and people's ability to get what is necessary pushes them to work harder. I disagree with that. I'd say that some of our hardest workers are single moms working 3 to 4 jobs, and the resources that they're able to acquire compared to those that utilize their workers in order to build profit for their own companies is not equivocal.
So this is a bad start for Mason. He brings up a claim, disagrees with the claim, and then brings up an example that proves the claim. The point that he's trying to make is that the businesses have enough resources to give to the single mother, but it's so confusing that you can't even guess what he means.
So how would you do it? How would you change it?
Yeah, so I think that humans inherently want to be meaningful. They want to contribute to their communities. They want to contribute to society. When you look at depression rates, oftentimes it's people who aren't able to do anything besides laying in their bed and basically barely taking care of themselves. So I think that it's just a human intrinsic value to want to bring value to their community or grander society.
Okay,
so I don't think that it has to be through scarcity alone that scares people into working, if that makes sense.
I worked for scarcity. I think there's levels to it. You have the survival, folks who work for survival to pay their bills. Some work for status, some work for freedom, and some work for legacy.
You know, they say as primal motivators, 85% of people are motivated by fear of loss, while only 15% are motivated by gain of success. So I've always broken this down to 15% of people will run as fast as they can to get a gold medal, while 85% of people will only run as fast as they can in the off chance they're being chased by a German Shepherd.
The folks that work 3 or 5 jobs, you know, to pay their bills and do what they're doing, if the incentive wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. Some of the guys that build a bigger business that solve a lot of problems.
The incentive there is either I die or I work. That's not really a system that rewards merit. That's a system that pushes people into insecure positions.
Not necessarily. In many cases, we put ourselves in situations as well. But when we're talking incentive...
Are you saying that it's an individual failure for these single mothers that are working 3 to 4 jobs?
For some of them, it is.
Interesting.
For some of them, it is.
I'm glad you bite that bullet, because most people are not going to say that it's a moral failure of people that are born into poverty that continue to live out cyclical poverty.
Let me explain to you. For somebody like me, I came from the single mother system. My mother was a single mother. You know, we had, you know, my parents got a divorce twice. They married each other. They divorced. They remarried each other, divorced again. I came up, we didn't have a lot of choices. I joined the Army, I got at that system, kind of wanted to see what I was gonna do for myself. Do I stay in the Army? Do I get out of the Army? I started working in sales. And then the incentive of working harder, eventually I built a good life for myself.
Again, you're totally dismissing the hard work that a lot of these people are putting into for just basic survival. I'd say that mechanics and plumbers and most people working blue collar jobs that are probably watching this video are working tirelessly day after day.
I don't
but yet
disagree.
They
I don't
still
disagree.
feel insecure positions to where they don't even know if they're going to be able to afford rent in the next 6 months.
So let me ask
if
you,
most Americans have a $400 to $500 emergency, they can't even afford that with the basic savings that they have. So this is not something that we should celebrate as promises of a system that gives you more if you work harder. We should say that this is something that rewards few, and I'm glad that you're an outlier that's been able to build a lot of success for yourself. I know that you're a multimillionaire. That's that's fantastic that you have those
when
resources.
you explain
But the thing
outlier,
is that
let me
cannot
ask you this
happen
question,
for
though.
everybody in society.
So what Mason just did there is called an exceptional case fallacy. Bet David is saying if you work harder and make better choices, you can do better. But Mason points to Bet David's unreachable status as a multimillionaire in order to negate the advice that he would just give ordinary people. Now, if I was Mason, I'd use my whole 5 minutes asking Patrick how to make money because he clearly knows how to do it better than I do.
It's possible for each individual to do it,
Yeah.
but not everybody can be a millionaire.
So
That's
for
guaranteed.
you, I don't think not everybody can be a billionaire or a millionaire, but I do think people can find ways to use their time to effectively increase their market value. And I don't think many people do that. When I talk to people and they tell me, I've watched this show, I've watched every one of these shows, I've watched every one of these Netflix shows, you can use that time to increase your market value instead of kind of, focus on what's going on with the stories and shows that are out there.
Let's move away from Netflix and TV shows.
Yeah, I'll bet he wants to move away from that point because that's one of the greatest points, which is what do you fill your time with? It's our most valuable resource. So are you endlessly entertaining yourself or are you using your time to be productive?
And talk specifically about, do you think that capitalism is a system of merit that rewards people that are of higher
Absolutely,
merit?
I do.
Okay, so how would you say that this is a meritocracy when we have some people that are born into excessive wealth and some people that are working minimum wage jobs to provide for 3 or 4 kids? How would you say that that's a meritocratic society?
Those are two different things.
They are two different things, very unequal things.
Well, no, not necessarily. The parents get credit for making responsible decisions so they can take care of their kids. The parents
so it's not
get
a
credit.
meritocracy, though. We're building dynasties of wealth.
Just so you guys know what he's referencing when he says that some people are just born into wealth, that's a talking point for what's called the estate tax, which is if you work your whole life and you become worth a certain amount of money, but then you die, the government can then take a portion of your net worth before your family can even inherit it. So there are 12 states that currently have an estate tax, and they'll take between 10 and 20% of all of your worth. Anti-capitalists like this, however, these guys have been pushing for a 100% estate tax for a long time, which means no matter how good you do in life, when you die, your family starts at ground zero.
Not necessarily. I didn't come from dynasties of wealth.
I know,
came from
you're
a
an outlier.
99 cents.
I get that. I get
there's-
that individual.
but
We're
there's
talking about
many-
systems.
but there's-
Capitalism is a system. It's not an individual
but it's a
testimony.
system that you get to use in your advantage. It's a system that's produced the best results than any other economical system. There's not an economical system that's produced better results than this based on the incentive.
History is a march of progress, right? So there are going to be advancements that we make, or there's going to be solutions that we make to previous ailments. I'm not saying that capitalism hasn't brought in better things than systems like feudalism or monarchy, but that does not mean that we're at the end of history. Do you think that capitalism is the final solution, and this is what we're going to
I
last
think
as we
capitalism
go
is
into
the
the
best
future?
economical system because it gives an incentive for you to decide how big of a life you want to build. And by the way, the best way to judge it, let me just say this to you, the best way to judge it is in a very simple way. Take all the countries around the world. There's many different economical systems. What has the longest line of people wanting to get in there? It's America. Why is that? 15 million people came here illegally. Millions came here illegally just the last 4 years.
But a lot of that is
Why
because of
do they
economic
choose to
scarcity in
come
other
here?
countries. Well, one of them, we could talk about one, is American exceptionalism, which is continuing.
If you're someone who constantly criticizes your work or think that they should make a bunch of changes, I want you to think about this. What is the multiplication of you? Meaning, if everyone at the company was you, would that company succeed or would it fail? Because if you're always showing up to work late, if you're always checking your phone or when things get busy or nowhere to be found, that company is going to fail. But if you're someone who has crazy good work ethic and everyone relies on you and you're always trying to move the needle and you still have these criticisms, it's time for you to find a new company.